Let's not stand on ceremony, mate. Let's start the show.
We would be honored if you would join us.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's Smash Cut.
What up, what up?
Where,
I feel like I have not been here in forever.
Yeah, that's right. I was here last week, but you were 3,000 miles away.
I was.
In Comic-Con.
I was in San Diego, so I was not here.
Coming from the promised land.
Yeah.
So.
And I brought you something back.
You did?
I did.
Awesome.
I did.
I love it.
It's, there you go. That's for you.
A Snowpiercer bar.
Yeah, look what's in
From
it,
the
too. I don't know if anybody else can
that
see
is awesome.
that.
Thank you. Is this
I don't
like a
know if
giveaway?
anybody can see. There you go. Snowpiercer bar. Look what's in it. Peanut butter, jelly.
Crickets?
And crickets, baby. It's a Snowpiercer cricket bar.
Are there really crickets?
You got one? Yes, and I got one for Drew, too, so you can take one as well.
I might eat this on the air later.
Yeah, no, it's for you. And I assume...
Did you eat one?
No.
I feel like I have to eat the crickets. I feel like I got to do it.
You know what? Go ahead and eat it. See how you like it. You might like it. Try it.
Yeah. Not here. Not now.
Why?
But I will.
Why don't you try it now?
I'll do it. Just for you dear people.
Try it
There's
now.
Crickets in this.
See, there's
Snowpiercer
cricket
bar.
in that peanut butter and jelly bar. How is it?
Is
it delicious?
I want to eat a cricket.
You want this?
Really
You want a
good.
cricket bar? You want a cricket bar? Here,
It's
take it.
really good.
I got you one. Yeah, take it.
Wow.
Yeah. They
have the coolest like stuff.
Yeah,
at
they were-
Comic-Con. I think that's well known. But
giving them away at the Snowpiercer booth.
what was your favorite activation? I don't know if we talked about that last week. Did you do any of them? I heard about was it a Batman one that had like a 0G VR thing?
I didn't see that. There was one that I went to they took you onto a shuttle launch, which was really awesome.
Yeah.
It was virtual realities, which for me it made me dizzy and I almost fell over. But that one was pretty cool. Yeah, the Snowpiercer one was pretty hot. That might have been one of my favorites. I went to the We Live in the Shadows installation over there for the TV show. And that one, they had built like a whole big, like a house, like exactly like the one in the show, which is really cool. And they had people playing the characters in the show, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
So yeah, that was fun, man. I always loved
I'm gonna be honest,
Comic-Con,
this is really good. The peanut butter and jelly's there. I'm not gonna be able to keep eating because I don't want to chew in everybody's ear. But
it was actually not bad.
One more bite of cricket. That's not bad at all.
I mean, good. Okay, well, we know at least we know the people in Snowpiercer are eating okay, even though those.
What's
I think
the deal with this
that's
show?
all they have is Snowpiercer is those bars. To eat.
What is the deal with that show? Like, the movie, if anybody hasn't seen it, it's an awesome movie. It came out, 6 years ago?
It's been that long. I don't think it's been.
I
that
don't know.
long.
It's been a couple years either way.
Yeah.
Chris Evans was in it, and a really cool, idea that there's these people on the train's segmented by a class and all that kind of stuff. But how does it go from a movie that was underrated and underseen to a TV show that's building up all this buzz?
I don't know. I don't know exactly how they're going to do that. It's a great concept and one I think that's really built for the series format.
Right.
You know, because it is a perpetually moving train using a perpetual engine, so that it's never supposed to end. Now, of course, in the movie it does end. And that's a problem. But but yeah, I'm curious to see how it's going to go because I think who else is in it? I think Jennifer Connelly is in it.
Oh, I love her.
You know, yeah, we both share a fondness for Jennifer Connelly. Daveed Diggs, you know, from Hamilton and Blind Spotting. You know, so it's got a great cast in it. So I'm looking forward to it, and they look pretty decent when I saw it at Comic-Con. So
yeah, you know, that just is going to send me on another down another rabbit hole that we didn't discuss prior to the show. But speaking of Jennifer Connelly, you know, awesome 80s, early 90s crushes. Elizabeth Shue is another one of my 80s and 90s crushes. and she's starring in The Boys right now on Amazon. Have you watched The Boys yet?
Who, Elizabeth Shue?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched the first few episodes.
What do you think?
It's very much like the comic. There's some things that they've toned down. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm digging it.
Yeah.
I was telling a friend of mine a few days ago that I feel like the TV series is a little bit easier to follow than the comic. The comic is great. It's one of my favorites. But there's a lot of things going on in the comic. And I feel like the series is a little bit more focused.
They've toned down the side stories and
yeah.
But you can almost tell watching it because there's characters like the Deep who comes into it, you know, in the forefront, and then he kind of drops out for a couple episodes, and you feel like he probably had other stories going on. Yeah. And he does have one really funny side story that comes into play halfway through. But
well, none of these characters are done. I mean, if the series has already been renewed for season 2, so
yeah.
all these characters are going to come back, and especially the members of the Seven, those guys are around a long time. So
right,
if it plays out like the comic, it's a long wait for the big payoff. So
yeah. Well, it's been a lot of fun so far. I mean, Erin Moriarty might be one of my my new top 10s.
I love her.
She is just
I've
adorable.
loved her since Kings of Summer.
I forgot she was in that. Yeah.
Kings of Summer, Bloodfather with Mel Gibson.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, she's a personal favorite of mine too. So
the only distracting thing about The Boys for me right now is how much Carl Urban sounds like Captain Jack Sparrow using his native accent, because he really lays it on. He's like, I'll tell you what, mate.
Still not my top pick to play that role, but I don't know who it would be. I actually think Jeffrey Dean Morgan would be better at it. But Carl Urban's fine.
Yeah, I mean, Carl Urban's one of those guys. I think he's always kind of been a fan favorite, but after Dredd came out and just knocked it out of the park, but didn't get it to do in the box office or respect in the world outside of the nerd core. He's really become somebody everybody goes to, and he's always delivered to me. He's always funny. I hadn't read the comics. I wasn't even aware of this series until the show hit Prime. So I don't have anything to compare it to, but it's a lot of fun. If you guys haven't seen it, it's on Amazon Prime right now. You should check that out.
Yeah, I remember they were going to make it into a movie at first, and I think it was Adam McKay who was trying to make it. That would have been interesting, but I'm glad they're doing it as a series. 'Cause they never could have done everything they wanted to in a 2-hour movie. So
that's one of the greatest things about. I mean, this whole streaming revolution is going to get ugly in the next couple of years. It's going to get expensive in the next couple of years, but it's still what it's doing for media, for talent, for creators, and really for their source material. I mean, even 10 years ago, if you had an idea, it better fit into a 2-hour movie, or else it's not going to get a TV show unless it's something, there's something very generic about it almost. You don't get TV shows like The Boys and like, hell, even Game of Thrones. And that stuff would have been bunkered down to a 2-hour movie. The Losers is a good example of one. I think that would have been a good show on Amazon Prime.
That would have made for a good maybe 3-episode miniseries, I think. I don't know if I'd want to see a series version of The Losers.
Yeah, well, we all know I'm a bigger fan of that movie than you are, but yeah, I mean, I just mean like
I recall that I reviewed that film for us, and I actually gave it a positive.
Well, I was just going off your off our previous talks, and this has been years.
It's not a great movie, but it's a fine movie. It's not a great movie.
I mean, it's an amazing piece of cinematic achievement, but we agree to disagree on that.
It is not. But actually, I've referenced The Losers a lot recently. I was in a part of a panel recently talking about comics, comic adaptations, and I was bringing up some of the ones that aren't DC or Marvel, and I brought up The Losers as one of them that came out really early on, as early examples of comic adaptations that were branching out beyond superheroes. And I was looking specifically at Vertigo comic stuff, and stuff like V for Vendetta and The Losers and History of Violence. These are comic book adaptations that a lot of people in the world. I mentioned Ghost World. Stuff like that weren't DC or Marvel superheroes. They were different sorts of things that were comic book adaptations that showed that the diversity of the genre, if Hollywood chooses to go down that route, but they haven't done it very often. That was kind of my point, is that I felt like they kind of dropped the ball in doing that. There should be more movie adaptations of comics that aren't about capes and villains.
For sure. And the door's open for that now with all this. I mean, It's
Well, there's no incentive to do it anymore because every superhero movie makes too much money.
Yeah, but they're going to run out of properties, and as these sort of, I'll say mid form, and they're not really long form because they get 10 episodes, 1 season, 2 seasons, but as those keep going and get more and more popular, they're going to need more and more stuff to fill that out. You've got shows like when I just started watching Winona Earp that are these.
How is that?
It's weirdly good. It's
because every time I see a thing for it, I instantly start thinking Winona Ryder, and then I see Earp at the end, and I'm like, man, I'm not interested anymore.
I mean, it's your standard, demon. Somebody fighting demons in a place. But I just started watching the other day. It's pretty good, but my point is it's something that's got this cult following. It's like a Canadian TV show, and then it got picked up by Amazon, and now it's getting this life. I mean, and that kind of weird. She's not a superhero, but there are some elements to it. There is a wide breadth of content in the comic book world to draw from. I mean, you mentioned the history of violence. I think that's one of the most surprising ones for most people.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's crazy.
And the movie coming out this week, The Kitchen, is also a comic book adaptation.
I heard that, yeah.
With Melissa McCarthy and Tiffany Haddish and Elizabeth Moss. That is also a comic book adaptation. So
and
they're out there.
The beauty of it is more people find out about this, and the depth of all of it is it really gets more respect for comics. I mean, I know everybody thinks we're living in a world where the comic book is king now, and it's a lot better than it was 20 years ago, where it was a kid's thing still. But
comic books are still terrible. They're still terrible. But
comic books are.
Comic books are terrible. They've been terrible for a long time. But
there's gems in there, but I mean they're not.
There's gems in everything, but in terms of overall, comic books have not been good for a while. I'm hoping that this, House of X storyline that they're doing at Marvel now is a way to lure me back in. So we'll see. But we've talked about this before, how it used to be that comic books drove the movie market, and now it's the movie market drives comics.
Right.
It's all flipped because of the success of comic book movies. That the comic book publishers now try to make themselves look like the movies. Yeah. It used to be the other way around. So, and I don't think that's served the business very well.
And this isn't a comic. This is a video game. But that's our fault as the audience to a point. Is like the Avengers game that came out. I don't know how good or bad it's going to be, but I remember seeing all these people complain about it. And one of the most common complaint I heard was, "Well, it doesn't even look like Robert Downey Jr. It doesn't look like." I mean, it's not supposed to. I mean, it's not the Avengers.
To be fair,
remake.
No, I totally agree with you. But if I'm honest, it was my first thought as well.
Mine too.
It was my first thought when I watched them have the big release launch for it, and I was all anticipating it, and then I looked at it and I was like, yeah, none of these guys look right though. And it's like they look fine. Yeah. It's just that they don't look like the MCU guys.
Right. It's jarring because you're expecting one thing and you get another, and I did the same exact thing.
If they were cartoons, we wouldn't care, but they made them look kind of look realistic, so we expect them to look and sound. And maybe it's because in other things it's so easy to get these guys back to come in and voice their characters. Right. That you're like, well, why couldn't they come in and voice the characters for the game? Mm-hmm. Or have the guys doing visuals make the characters look like, was that so hard? Was that so hard to do? I mean, I assume it'd be more contracts, but still. Yeah. It seems like that would be a good way to pump up sales for sure. Because I think one of the things that's going to hurt this game is that it doesn't have these characters looking and sounding the way we expect them to.
Oh no, I agree, but I'm saying that's where it starts going down the line of making the comics look like do people stop buying Captain America? But you're right, those are more cartoony, depending on the artist. So there is a line there, but
like you don't get that complaint about the Ultimate Alliance game that's out now.
That's true.
That complaint is not there. It's using the same characters, but they're designed as cartoonish. Right. So you don't get that complaint like, oh, this guy doesn't look or sound like Captain America. And
they also, to really point it out, in the game, the outfits are very similar to the MCU as well. They didn't go for a different thing there. But speaking of non-cape-wearing superheroes, Hobbs and Shaw. The latest
Hobbs and Shaw.
The latest in the Fast and Furious franchise. The first spin-off of the Fast and Furious series came out today.
Although I would disagree with that.
Friday,
I would say Tokyo Drift was the first spin-off.
Would you?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah, you're right, because I guess there's who's in it that's Han.
That was Han's first appearance. Yeah. So there was no continuity with anything up until that very last scene at the end when Toretto shows up.
You're right,
Which was
yeah.
tacked on at the end. But there's no continuity with anything in the whole franchise. And it's Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift.
Right.
Like, it doesn't even sound like it's part of the franchise.
There's no numbers in it. It doesn't
Right,
make
it's
a pun.
nothing.
Yeah.
So I would call that, and this is just something I kind of recently thought about. It's like, this is kind of a spinoff, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of a spinoff. So
No, you're absolutely right. It always makes me wonder when I see these spin-offs that happen and then either another one doesn't happen for a long time or they don't happen again. Like, was there a game plan from the producer? Like, all right, well, let's just make it and it can be like Fast and Furious Indiana, like at the CSI
God.
basically. And then it doesn't work so well, and then they go back to the regular
well, remember
thing.
Tokyo Drift bombed.
Yeah.
It didn't do well. I think it made about 180 million worldwide.
Your favorite
which
of these series, if
it
I
is
remember.
my favorite of the series because it's in Japan. But yeah, it didn't do well.
No.
So if there was any plan to do Fast and Furious New York or something like that,
Yeah.
it probably died with the $180 million. But $180 million now sounds crazy when you think about the $800 to $1 billion that these movies make every year now.
Right.
Like clockwork. Like this movie, Hobbs and Shaw opened with 170 million worldwide, so it's already almost surpassed Tokyo Drift's
Yeah.
entire theatrical run. In one
Those
weekend.
numbers have come up in the last 15 years since Tokyo Drift came out. I mean, but okay, so this takes Hobbs and Shaw, who we've seen from the previous movies, and follows them on their own little spinoff. Obviously, because the charisma of The Rock and Jason Statham and their kind of chemistry together.
Because they don't want to.
Was it the last one?
Johnson doesn't really want to work with Vin Diesel anymore.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
vice versa.
And I think we'll be getting into that. And actually, you know what? Let me ask you something, just because I'll forget. Throughout that whole story, I always assumed that Vin Diesel was the douche because he comes off as somebody that could certainly be a douche. The Rock, on the other hand, seems like he's probably the coolest guy in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think this is on? I mean, is it really all Vin Diesel, or do you think The Rock? Damn, this thing is good. I have to have another bite. Do you think that The Rock is maybe a little bit more of a d-bag than he plays on?
All right, so what John is referencing is a story that came out, I think, like the day before Hobbs and Shaw opened, which basically just details the extreme demands that were made by Johnson, Statham, and Diesel on the Fast and Furious movies. I think specifically Fate of the Furious. Probably Fast and Furious 7 too, because that's when Statham's Dakar Shaw. I think that's when he made his big first appearance, maybe. So maybe it was 8. I don't know. I think it was 7. Whatever. It doesn't really matter.
5 was Fast and Furious.
5 was Fast and Furious, and then
Fast
it was
6,
Fast 6,
and
and
then
then Furious 7.
Yeah, and Gal Gadot died in Fast 6, so that means it was 7.
I thought she died in 7. Her and Han died on the same film.
Well,
Died in the same film. Was it 6?
Letty, Michelle Rodriguez died in Fast and Furious,
can't
but she
keep
didn't
track.
actually die.
I can't keep track. Yeah, I know. Hashtag spoilers. Yeah, I know. We're spoiling.
Hey, you know what? The
spoiling
5-year mark is
We're
done.
spoiling shit from years ago. So if anyone ain't watched these movies by then, I mean, you can't help
Right.
them.
There's a line.
I'm not gonna spoil anything about Hobbs and Shaw, but except for
I kind of want to. Something in the credits, but I have a question about it.
Yeah,
want to.
Han did die in Tokyo Drift. However, Tokyo Drift takes place later. Everything that comes before whichever film that him and Giselle died in, again, one where Dakar Shaw is introduced,
Right.
comes before Tokyo Drift. So it's complicated. So it's basically like 1, 2, and then like 4, 5, 6, Tokyo Drift, 7, 8.
Right. They went Star Wars on
That's kind of how it is.
And
So,
just to hammer
so
that
we see
home-
Han die twice. So we see him die at the end of Tokyo Drift, and then when Dakar Shaw debuts, kills Han, we see it from a totally different perspective.
Right.
And
Really
they
hammer
basically
it home.
retcon it, so that so they kind of put Dakar in there. So that's how it works out. It's more confusing than Fast and Furious should be. But basically, the story that John is referencing is the story that came out that basically talks about their demands, and basically these three guys have it in their contracts basically that they can't ever really look bad in these movies. So Vin Diesel has his sister who's a producer, literally counting punches to make sure that at least things break even. You have Johnson, who brings in his own fight coordinators to make sure that he always comes out looking good. And Statham has sort of the same deal, and which is, to me, is just some panty ass bullshit. I just don't.
It seems more like something you hear about on the Destiny's Child reunion tour than on Hobbs and Shaw. I mean, you see these guys, they're big, muscle bound, they're always, charismatic and happy and cool on Twitter and in the media. And then you hear stuff like this and you're like, you're getting paid $20 million. If they want to spank you with Vaseline in the middle of the movie, you should be allowing them.
I just don't. It's interesting. I when I wrote about this, I was talking about how much I love this story, and I do love this story. I think this story is fucking awesome because I just think it's hilarious. But it's not. It's not that crazy.
No.
Because these guys, and this is something that, and because I'm an idiot, I always frame things in professional wrestling terms. So. There's this great scene in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's my favorite scene in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, a movie that there are a lot of scenes I like, but my favorite is a scene at the very beginning where DiCaprio's character, Rick Dalton, is talking to Al Pacino, who's playing this super producer, and he's running down all these things. He's basically running down how Dalton has been getting jobbed out to all these these lesser actors in like TV shows, and because it happens so much that his stock is falling while theirs is rising. So they're rising at his expense. In wrestling terms, when you lose like that, it's called being jobbed out, and that's basically what's happened to Rick Dalton. And Johnson, Statham, and Diesel, they want to make sure that kind of thing doesn't happen to them. So they got to stay on brand, and staying on brand means they have to look tough. And that means they can't be getting jobbed out to nobody on screen. So I get where they're coming from. But it's still, to me, it's just like, come on, guys. And to be fair, this shit happens with everybody. You think Bruce Lee didn't do anything like that back in the day?
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Of course he did.
That's the
Chuck Norris, of course he did.
That's the other downside of today's world is there was something beautiful. There was a lot wrong. So before I get misquoted, there was a lot wrong with the world prior to now, and still now. But there was something beautiful about the 70s and the 80s and even into the 90s that you still had that air of mystique around actors and the movie business. You didn't have the internet to tell you what was in their riders or on their contract. You didn't get to see them. You didn't get to see Jason Statham coming out of his yoga class with pink sweatpants on. You didn't get to see all these things that we see now that let you know these people are real human beings. They're not
Hobbs and Shaw, but I didn't get that off of there.
They're not the superheroes you see on screen, and it really changes everything. So yeah, I mean, I have no doubt this is something that happens everywhere, and has always happened. If you think that John Wayne didn't say certain things all the time, then if you think that John Wayne didn't say certain things all the time, then you're like this. You're crazy. If it wasn't in his contract.
Do you see what I'm pointing at?
I don't.
I'm trying to get this off the screen.
Click the. I wasn't click the camera button up to. There you go. Yep.
That's funny. I'm trying to get it off completely.
Oh. So just hit the middle button there.
That's what I was asking you.
You're just pointing. I didn't know what you were doing.
Yeah, I was like, which button should I press here? Because I couldn't remember which button it was.
Sorry.
Professional. Okay.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I was like kind of half paying attention to you and half talking, so I'm pretty sure what I said didn't make any sense anyway.
Yeah, I don't know what you're I don't know what you're saying.
But yeah.
But yeah, man, it's a funny story, and and it brings to mind an actor like Tom Cruise. Now, Tom Cruise is out there. He's still doing all his own stunts. Mm-hmm. He's doing crazier and crazier shit every day at the age of 50 plus, whatever the hell his age is now.
Yeah, he's flying those jets in the Top Gun 2 trailer, by the way. If you guys
that trailer, by the way, is sick.
Oh, it's amazing.
The Top Gun Maverick trailer. If y'all ain't seen it, y'all gotta go watch it.
When
he was at Comic-Con,
which
just blew me away.
Were you in the room with him?
There. Yeah.
Was there that present? I remember the first time I saw Ben Affleck in person, and this doesn't happen a lot when you meet famous people, but Ben Affleck walked in the room, and it was like the air had been sucked out of the room. Like, you're in the presence of somebody that's like a real star. Was there that feeling in the room with Tom Cruise, or had to have been, right?
Yeah, it's because it doesn't happen in Hall H that often where somebody like that comes in.
Right.
It was like that when Bill Murray came in for the first time. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like that when Ben Affleck came in because Ben Affleck looked like somebody had shit in his cereal that morning.
This was before
he was talking Justice League.
Yeah.
So it didn't look that way.
Sad Ben.
Actually, he was cheerleader Ben that day.
Oh yeah.
But it was bullshit cheerleading, and you could tell like immediately. It was like. You ain't that happy.
You're not that good an actor, Ben.
You ain't that happy. Right. Everybody else is genuine happy. You look like you look like you're mad to be there. But yeah, it was like that because Tom Cruise just came out and it was just like holy shit. And I had been telling a friend of mine who's a huge Tom Cruise fan, like the biggest Tom Cruise fan in the world, that he might be there. They didn't put him on the schedule. It was just Paramount talking about Terminator.
Right.
I was like, they're not going to talk about Terminator the entire hour. It's like, they got to have something else.
Right.
Watch Tom Cruise come out. Watch him come out. He came out like in the last 5 minutes, showed the trailer, and then left.
I mean,
that's all you had to do.
if I would have been in that room, I probably would have died right there. Because I can tell you, as Top Gun being one of my top movies of all time, still, and definitely from my childhood, hearing those bells or whatever they are, the main parts of the theme kick in slowly during the opening part of the trailer was just it just blew me away,
crazy.
man. It was amazing how much of an impact it can still have on you. But so yeah, I like your Rick Dalton analogy or explanation, and I like it because of it really points out the problem with these contracts is that there's only one person in the movie that this is happening to, and Idris Elba is the one that's happening to. If you're getting cast in that I'm in it for one movie, one episode, and then I die role, you're not getting jobbed. If you're the guy that comes in and is saying things like I'm Black Superman and then is dead at the end and out, or not dead, I don't know, I won't spoil it for you guys, then you're getting jobbed. And that poor guy, man, he just can't. He's the most deserving of a break, and he just can't get a franchise, man.
Which guy?
Idris Elba. He's Heimdall and Thor. That doesn't count. He was like the 10th build, maybe.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he'll have one someday, maybe. If he wants one, he'll have one someday.
The man's about 50 years old at this point.
So what? What does that mean?
It means he won't be. Tom
Cruise is in the franchise now. That's getting bigger.
See, he's killing all my arguments.
It's getting bigger.
Tom Cruise is 93 years old, and he's flying jets and jumping off.
Does Idris Elba look 50 to you? Not to me. He doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
Tom Cruise doesn't look 50.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Well, thanks, Doommeister, for the follow, buddy.
Yeah, I mean.
But
no, the thing about Idris Elba is, yeah, you look at stuff like The Dark Tower, which just bombed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not that he hasn't been given chances. He's just had bad luck with it.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's one of the part of the reason why people want him to play Bond.
Do you see his, and we're bouncing all over the place, but that's what we do here at Smash Cut. Did you see his Netflix show where he's a DJ? I forget the name of it.
I haven't watched it.
It is actually, it's strange. It's him in a whole different light, but it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I don't want to watch it.
I didn't finish it, but anyway,
I have too many things to watch, and that's way down on the list.
Hobbs and Shaw, it's just as crazy as you'd expect from as Fast and Furious has made us.
Isn't that insane how much this franchise has transformed?
Oh, if you watch The Fast and the Furious and then the last Fast and Furious, it would not seem like part of the same franchise.
They're not all the same. The 2001 one was a street racing drama.
Yeah,
this one, they're literally fighting a cybernetic bad guy who's looking to basically impose Darwinian law. Law on the entire population.
And he has a Transformer dirt bike and our motorcycle and all
remote
kinds
control
of stuff.
motorcycle. And there's nothing remotely realistic about these movies. Like nothing. And at the least I could say, the most I could say about the Fast and the Furious, it's a pretty decent film. It made me want to go and buy a car back then, by the way.
It made everybody between the ages.
Which I actually did. I went out and bought a car. But at least was a reflection of that culture at that time,
right?
And it was realistic in that sense.
Yeah.
These have no basis in reality at all anymore.
No.
It's hard to believe they're the same thing.
You could feel like there was a guy like Dominic Toretto around, or Brian.
I've known people who've grown up in those kind of cultures before.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot.
I don't know anybody who's had their spine infused with steel. And now they're basically half android.
Yeah, I mean, and if you don't even go to that, if you don't even go to Hobbs and Shaw, I mean, it's been happening since you said 2011 was that? I forget which movie exactly.
It was basically Fast Five that really it's basically Fast Five that did. I mean, Justin Lin, I think he did 4 also, and that one kind of started things.
Yeah,
it was after Tokyo Drift's failure that Justin Lin came back. I think he did. I think he directed Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, he did. If I'm not mistaken.
But basically rebooted things without rebooting them.
Right.
Just gave them a different tone, a completely different tone. And they've consistently gotten bigger and bigger and bigger with each movie. Kind of like Mission Impossible has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger as well, but it stayed
It did start out as kind of just a basic spy drama with a couple
Right.
little gags.
And it's
here
still a
and there.
spy drama, just with bigger stunts.
Whereas Fast and Furious, the last movie, they took out a Russian submarine with a race car.
Right.
I believe.
They were racing a submarine on ice.
Yes.
Somehow.
Yeah.
In this one, Hobbs lassos a helicopter in a moving Jeep and doesn't get ripped to shreds somehow.
Yeah.
That's what these movies are now. And you just kind of have to accept them. I talk to a lot of people who just can't accept how insane they are. And it's like, well, then you shouldn't be going to these movies then at this point.
Yeah, I mean that's the beauty of these
have to go along
is
for the ride.
They are insane, and nobody's apologizing for that.
Yeah.
They know it's insane. They know it doesn't take place in this world. They know it's not something like what the series started with, but it's fun, and there's a beauty in having a film and filmmakers and cast that are willing to say, we're doing this because it's fun, not because of any artistic value or anything like that, because you're going to like seeing this guy.
Don't tell Vin Diesel that. There's artistic value in these movies,
Oh,
too.
well, yeah, of course, I won't tell
Don't
him
tell
that.
him that.
But, because I want to see The Rock and all his Samoan family get out there and do
And
the
that's
haka,
why these movies
you know?
exist. At this point, these movies exist to give you what you wanted.
Mm.
So we got the chance to see. We've seen Vin Diesel versus The Rock. Okay, we've had that now. Now we've had Dwayne Johnson and Statham teaming up together. John Cena is now part of the franchise. He's coming in on Fast and
Which I'm so
Furious
happy
9.
about.
So how long will it be before we see John Cena versus Vin Diesel? Probably in that movie. How long will it be before we see Dwayne Johnson versus John Cena? Probably the next movie.
And in Fast and Furious 10, when the head of the evil organization finally reveals himself after all these movies, Hulk Hogan.
No. No. Nobody's casting Hulk Hogan. He can barely get in the door at WWE right now. So
Yeah.
with all that,
But,
troubled past,
it's just awesome they have this out there. And then the thing, and I won't spoil it, but I have to acknowledge it. In the end credit scene, we're given a kind of teaser of somebody that I got the impression will be in the next movie, at least a cursory.
There are two amazing cameos in Hobbs and Shaw.
Yes. Wait, there's 3, but are you talking about 3 people, two cameos, or 2 people? Because there's one guy that's like a baggage handler or whatever that you would expect to be in it, little fella.
What? I'm curious. Now I'm
Kevin
curious what
Hart.
you're talking
It obviously shows up
Okay.
whenever the Rock
Kevin
is
Hart
there.
is it.
Kevin Hart's going to be there, but there's another cameo.
about. Are they a package deal that I don't know about?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? What else?
The production company is called Rock Hart.
Yeah, okay, but that doesn't mean they don't share movies together though.
No,
do
but
they?
you see everywhere you see one, you see the other. They're like besties now. Like you even see interviews that Rock does, and Kevin Hart will come out and say a funny
just
joke.
because of
and
the
go away.
Jumanji movies.
I guess.
I mean, I know they're together in those.
Central
but-
Intelligence they did together too.
Yeah, that's true. They
And
did do that together.
they're buddies, man. They're
Okay.
like best buddies.
All right. I still wouldn't naturally assume to see Kevin Hart in there. There's another, and it's not really even a cameo. It's more because the role is big enough that it's not really a cameo. It's like a supporting role.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't spoil that one in case anybody hasn't seen that one. I'm curious what the third one is though.
I think we're talking about the same too, because there's 3 people. There's 2 people in that last one.
You're not talking
One of
about
them's not
Helen
very-
Mirren.
No, but one of them, yeah, because she's the Shaw's mom. She was in the other one anyway.
I don't know who the third one is you're talking about.
It's the 2 people in that end credit scene. They're both somewhat famous,
Okay.
but
Okay. I just don't know what you said. There were 3.
yeah, Kevin Hart and then those 2 guys.
Who are the 2? Who are the other 2? That's what I'm talking about.
The two people in the, never mind.
Who are the
we'll
2?
talk about it after, off air. There's 2 agents in
Write
that.
it down. Write it down.
I have a pen here. I'll put it on my phone. I don't even know how to spell his
Just
name.
write it.
All right, hold on.
But Hobbs and Shaw, though, I mean, look, I enjoyed this movie the way I expected to. It is mindless entertainment, and I think even more so compared to the rest of the Fast and Furious franchise. It's more mindless than ever. I mean, this one makes absolutely no sense, and I don't really care that it didn't.
That guy, he's not very famous, so maybe it's not a cameo.
Oh, Jesus Christ, no, that does not count.
That doesn't count. Okay, well, the
No.
other one does at least.
Yeah, the other one does, because people, at least at the screening I was at, were shocked, and so was I.
I would, yeah.
Frankly, because I didn't know that he was in it. I didn't know Kevin Hart was in it either. You spoiled that, so I guess we can talk about that. But no one cares that guy is in. The
Whatever.
movie.
It counts. Somebody cares. His mom cares. His
Apparently
family
you care.
cares. His
But I
wife
think
cares.
even compared to the other Fast and Furious movies, this one is less sensical.
Oh,
This
yeah,
one makes
yeah,
less
yeah.
sense. I
Yeah.
mean, there's this bioweapon that Shaw's sister, who's played by Vanessa Kirby,
Yeah.
who was the breakout star of this movie for me, by the way. I liked her in Mission Impossible Fallout. I think she's better in this. I liked her better than I like Statham and Johnson, which is saying something.
And that's what everybody's
I thought
saying about this
she's
movie.
great in this movie. She kicks ass. She's gorgeous as hell.
Yeah. And apparently she's only a couple years younger than Jason Statham.
Hey now. No, she's great in this. She basically is trying to keep a bioweapon that can
Wipe us all out.
wipe out humanity. She's trying to keep it out of Idris Elba's hands. He's part of some secret organization.
You know, that old chestnut.
That's looking to evolve humanity. Yeah, no, it's weird. But it's just stupid. The plot is stupid. But this movie exists so that Johnson and Statham can throw one-liners and punches. That's what it's there for.
Right.
So, and as long as you're there for that, you understand that that's what you're there to get. Then this movie's a lot of fun. If you go in there expecting like grand emotional stakes,
Right.
you're not gonna get them. You're not. They try to give you that. We get to see a little bit more of Hobbs' family, which basically amounts to his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Statham's the Shaw family. We see more of them. Helen Mirren shows up again as his mother, and of course his sister Hattie. We see more of the Shaw lineage in this and how their dynamic works. And so you get something. They try to give you something, but does that stuff really matter?
No.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, my
It
my
doesn't
only
matter.
issue was that if I had any issue, it was just that and I'm the weirdest person to say this, but the writing seemed to get a little bit
No,
lazy.
Ian Ziering does not count as a huge A-lister. He does not.
The writing seemed to get a little bit
Neither
lazy.
did the guy that he wrote down that paper.
Not in terms of plot, but the jokes were like I felt like it could have been a little bit wittier. Like the jokes and the back and forth. It seemed repetitive by the time the third act started coming around.
There's a lot of IP Freely types jokes in there too.
Yeah.
Which are funny, but they're not deep laughs. They're just kind of silly laughs. Like, okay, that was silly.
Which, I mean, it's
not
fine.
It's not a particularly,
It's-
even by Fast and Furious standards, just not a particularly smart movie in terms of the humor either.
Right. No, but I mean, I'm picking. But if you're going to pick something about it, that's what I would say. I know a lot of people had a lot of issues with the age gap there between the Shaw family, which is just ridiculous. But
It's picking that minutia that
it
should not matter.
when you hear
for
people
these
complain
movies.
about that kind of stuff, what I'm just complaining about, and that's your sign right there that it's going to be
Yeah.
a fun movie because there's nothing else to complain about. So they're picking something they have to.
Yeah.
You know.
So the back
So-
and forth between those guys is fun, and it's not particularly great, but it's fun.
Yeah.
But the action is off the charts. David Leitch directed it. He's the guy who did Deadpool 2 and Atomic Blonde, and co-directed John Wick. So the action is great here. They had an amazing car chase throughout London. There's one of the best car chases I've seen in a while. And the whole sequence on Samoa I thought was great too. So there's a lot of stuff in there. Leitch is an incredible action filmmaker, and there aren't a ton of them that in terms of action stunt choreographers, there aren't that many of them that stand out. You know?
Right. And most of it
Leitch
kind
is
of
one
blends
them.
together, really.
Gareth Evans, the guy who does the Raid movies, his action sequences stand out. There just aren't that many of them anymore. At least I do American films.
What's your
Leitch is
top
one of
car
them.
chase of all time? I know we just talked about like last week about when you put somebody on the spot, everything disappears from their brain.
The early Bourne movies had great chase scenes.
Right.
I really like the one in the remake of the Italian Job as well. Was really well done. If you can make Mini Coopers exciting, I mean that's
That's amazing.
it's
You know what I always never understood is the and I do think it's a great chase scene, but it's not top all time. Everybody always says Ronin, that movie from the mid '90s with oh my God, he's the greatest actor of all time almost, and I can't remember his name. I want to say Robert. Really, I can't remember Robert De Niro's name. I
know.
could not
What
remember
the hell,
Robert De
man?
Niro's name. I think
I didn't
just had
want
a
to
stroke.
I didn't want to say it for you because I figured you'd get it.
Yeah, I think I had a stroke. But I'm
That's
all right
possible.
now, so we're good. So obviously Hobbs and Shaw's a go, even if they have some weird stuff in their contracts. I think that's what we're saying. I kind of want to talk about this next thing because
So we recommend
Yeah.
recommend Hobbs and Shaw, right?
yeah, I absolutely.
We definitely
Absolutely. I mean,
recommend it.
if you're
Most of
looking
you
for an
probably
action
seen it
movie,
already.
it's-
The movie made $170 million worldwide, $60 million here. $60 million is the lowest opening debut for a Fast and Furious movie since Tokyo Drift.
Right.
I might add, but $60 million is still pretty damn good. It's all about context, honestly.
Yeah.
First of all, it's a spin-off. Spin-offs almost always do less than the core franchise does, and 60 million is pretty good under any circumstances. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's, if you're going to put a tagline on the poster, it's the one movie this year that will deliver what you expect. I mean, exactly what you think you're going to get is what you're going to get when you go to it.
Yeah.
So, and that's good stuff. But so this review came out.
Did you read it?
Yeah, I did.
Did you read it?
And honestly, that's kind of why I want to talk about it, because it's something that it kind of had to stew for a minute before I saw the problems with it. And before I saw the problems were something worth saying. Let me put that. So the first critic screenings for Dora and the City of Gold started a few days ago. You saw it yesterday.
I saw it yesterday, but Todd McCarthy, the guy who wrote the review for THR, he had seen it the week before. That's when his review came out.
Oh, right.
So he's been getting battered from pillar to post since for
he's
basically
a
the entire
70-year-old
week.
film critic at the Hollywood Reporter, who essentially dropped little bits throughout his review about, and then he finished it up with a whole paragraph about this, about how Dora was hot, basically.
That's basically the gist of the review, and he doesn't want to say that. Makes a lot of little comments, and I wish I had brought the review.
He says things like Dora, who's said to be 16 but is obviously 18, even though they're trying to hide it. Things like that.
Here's a bit of it.
Yeah.
Here's a little bit of his review here. The director seems to be trying to keep the hormones at bay, but there are some things you just can't disguise. Perhaps human nature first and foremost. Dora seems committed to projecting a pre-sexualized version of youth, while throbbing, unacknowledged beneath the surface, is this nigga's dick.
What?
So,
didn't say that.
No, he didn't say that. But acknowledged beneath the surface is something a bit more real. Its presence rigorously ignored.
But he did say throbbing, and that's the word that bothered me most in the whole review.
Yeah, because you don't use the word throbbing
weird.
unless you're thinking about sex.
Yeah.
It's like using the word engorged
Or
at this
moist.
point. You know, you don't. Yeah, I know the PG-13 rating is gone for this episode. Sorry, I had to blur that line out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. The entire gist of the review that I got was that he was turned on by Isabella Moner, who plays Dora, a teenage Dora, and he doesn't want to say that. So what he does in the review is talk about her being sexualized and make it seem as if he has a problem with it. But he clearly does not.
Yeah.
He clearly doesn't.
Yeah.
And now that I've seen the movie, when I first read it, I hadn't seen the movie, so I still thought after reading the review that I could already sense what his issue was.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I've seen the movie, I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah.
Because the movie's not sexual at all.
I mean,
at all.
Let's
She's
come out and
not
say
sexualized at all in the movie either.
the girl who plays her is a very pretty girl, but she looks
And she's
like
18, so you can say that. It's very
like,
fine.
Well, no, the thing is, my issue there is like my thing with Selena Gomez. Everybody loves Selena Gomez, but to me, Selena Gomez still looks like she's 12 in the face, so it doesn't work for me. I mean, she's a cute girl, don't get me wrong, but this guy it's exactly what you're saying. Like, I read it the first time, I was like, people are just picking at this. The guy said a couple things, whatever, everybody's being sensitive, but then at like 10 minutes later, as it sunk in, I was like, you know what? No, this is the guy who's obviously having some messed up thoughts in his head. A 70-year-old guy, by the way. And he's like, even though she's obviously 18, bro, you're 70 years old. It shouldn't matter if she's 18. She should need to be 38. But obviously it's something that was stewing in his head, and he had to get it way out there and say,
because she's wearing little shorts and
Yeah.
whatever, and he couldn't get it out of his head. He wasn't able to watch the movie on its own terms. He said he watched it, filtered through the fact that he found her hot the entire time.
yeah.
And that was the only thing, and that ended up being almost the entirety of the review was this point of view of his.
Yeah, he would
It
drop
colored
little
every
things
single
in.
thing that he talked about.
Right.
And it's like, well,
It was like six paragraphs, and every other sentence he would drop some weird thing, throughout in relation to her looks or her hormones or any one of these number of things that's ridiculous.
yeah.
So
we got some images here. You can see Isabella Moner as Dora. Isabella Moner was also in Transformers: The Last Night, I believe. She was in Sicario 2. Fine young actress. And like you said, she is attractive. But, I mean, come on, dude.
I will say one thing. Yeah, she's a really pretty girl, but I will say one thing that not in this guy's defense because there's no defense to it, but
Yeah.
They did a side-by-side I saw on some website. Did you know there was a Dora porn parody, which is disturbing on so many other levels?
I'm not surprised.
I mean, it's supposed to be
Not
a
at
little girl.
all
That bothered me.
surprised.
But in the
Ugh.
porn parody, apparently she's an adult. But they showed a side-by-side of Dora from this in the publicity stills, and it might have been intentional, obviously. But the only difference between her here and the porn parody one was the shorts were about an inch shorter, and the shirt came up on her midriff a little bit more.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. The thing is, when you go out and you point that out, it's like the senators that condemn gay people left and right, and then
Oh, yeah,
2
and
weeks
they
later
get
you
caught.
find out they've been
They
texting
get
wiener
caught.
pics to their
Yeah.
18-year-old intern.
Yep.
It's really like that.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of like that. And this is just the thing is, it's when people complain about, getting the white male perspective in movie reviews being too prevalent. This is the kind of thing they'll point to. This is the kind of thing they're going to. This is the kind of thing they're going to point to. This movie was clearly not made for him.
Right.
And then you get his review, and it's all about, him lusting after this girl.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't serve anybody.
Yeah.
And I'm amazed at the Hollywood Reporter for allowing that review to go through.
Somebody's editor was off that day.
Editor was not paying attention, or they didn't care, or it's just like McCarthy's been there so long. He's such a revered critic at this point that they don't even check his stuff anymore. They just kind of let him go out with whatever he's going to say.
Well, not
Well, they
anymore.
Well, they probably won't now. Yeah, after this kind of attention. But then again, this has probably got them more reads than ever. So
At the end of the day, it's clicks that count.
that's really all that matters.
Yeah.
I could do a review right now and write some.
How was
some
Danny
funky shit about
Trejo's
it.
boots? That's the thing I love the most. I love the fact that Danny Trejo has
You only hear
now.
Danny Trejo for like 2 lines.
Well, he's Boots, isn't he?
Yeah, Boots is in the movie the entire time, but Boots doesn't speak.
Oh.
Boots doesn't speak until one sequence towards the end of the movie, and it's just and at
that
first I
sucks.
didn't even remember that it was Danny Trejo.
I was just excited to see that full circle journey of Danny Trejo, the baddest man. Ex-con turned awesome character actor, turned baddest man in Hollywood.
Friend to the
turned
Punch Drunk
Boots.
Critics.
What? Friend of the Punch Drunk
Friends
Critics.
to Punch Drunk Critics. Danny
Yes.
Trejo.
Good buddy of ours.
From that one interview.
Yeah. Two.
10
We
years
did two.
ago.
We did
Oh
two.
no, that's right. We did 2
Yeah.
interviews with Danny Trejo 10 years
We
ago.
called him and we called him the second time. And then he was at my son. He's my son's godfather.
Friend to the
obviously. And
site,
then,
Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of Danny Trejo in this movie.
So we
You
talked.
do get a lot of Benicio del Toro as Swiper the Fox, though, which is just odd.
Did he show in the trailers?
Swiper?
Oh, well, he was animated. I'm sure.
He's animated.
I don't know why.
you
For some reason,
see-
I'm thinking of Benicio
yeah.
del Toro in like a
Yeah,
bandana.
you don't
running
see.
around.
Yeah, you don't see him. He's voicing the fox. It's,
Oh, okay.
It's very, very weird.
Yeah.
It's
Eva
very
Longoria,
weird.
she's still hot. He could talk about how hot she is. She's
We
an
can't.
adult.
Yeah, she's older than both of us.
Yeah. She's 50, just like everybody else I was talking
looks
about.
good.
Yeah, for sure.
Looks good.
Um,
If you want to write a lusty review about Eva Longoria, I mean, it'll still be wrong,
yeah.
but you won't get
Yeah.
pervy vibes. At least not.
It's just
At least not pervy on McCarthy's level. anyway.
no.
But we can't really
There's a lot
review.
of
We can't.
McCarthys in
We can't
the,
review Dora yet. So,
there's a lot
but
of
that's just.
McCarthy's in the film universe. I know I won't break your embargo, but it's just funny that the last couple of weeks, anybody that's talking about film critics been McCarthy. Our local Kevin McCarthy, who's in Washington
Never heard
D.C.
of
area
him.
Film
I
Critics
don't know that
Association
guy.
with us.
Sounds like a
was
loser.
all over Comic-Con because Kevin
Sounds
Smith
like a terrible critic. I don't know who that
Kevin
guy is.
Smith was singing his praises for hooking him back up with Ben Affleck, and now you hear about this McCarthy that's doing some bad
Wait,
stuff.
who was singing whose praises?
I don't know.
Wait, was Kevin Smith singing Kevin McCarthy's praises?
You didn't hear the
Or
story?
was Kevin McCarthy singing Kevin Smith's praises?
You didn't hear the story?
No.
Kevin Smith was singing Kevin McCarthy's praises. Apparently, Kevin had a
What is happening?
Kevin McCarthy had an interview with Ben Affleck, right, for Triple Frontier, Triple Frontier,
Okay.
and he opened the interview by saying, "So, have they called you for Jay and Silent Bob reboot yet?" And he said, "No, but I'm open, I'm available, I'm waiting for the call," and this gets back to Kevin Smith, and those two, Affleck and Smith, hadn't talked in like a decade because there was a big falling out, and then this gets back to Kevin Smith, and he's like, oh, no, he's just saying that or whatever. And anyway, people push him to call him. He ends up calling Ben Affleck, and Affleck says, yeah. He comes and he does a cameo for the movie, and now they're friends again. So at Comic-Con, he was like, I've been wanting to tell this story forever. And then he's like, there's this film critic, Kevin McCarthy, and he's like talking all about how Kevin gave him his best friend back and all this it's crazy. Do you think BDK's head wasn't any bigger before?
Oh, good Lord.
It's funny.
Well,
So,
maybe he won't end up on the quote horror list this year.
right. We didn't talk about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. We weren't here.
No, we weren't. We
venture
weren't here.
into?
We weren't here for that. We weren't here for that, were we?
No, we weren't.
What about it?
We talked a little bit about it.
You can talk about it all you want. Go ahead.
I don't know. I just filling time. I know that's to
What are you
talk
filling
about.
time for? Talk about whatever you want. You can end the show right now if you wanted to. It's up to you, man.
Oh, it's up to us. I'm
You
just
gotta
trying to think
talk about.
about
You
what
can
else
talk
there
about
is.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Go ahead. What about it? What did you think about it?
I liked it.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
I just want to get.
I don't know why
once
you aren't a bigger critic
I
right
know.
now.
I know you. That's nice, Travis.
Just fucking with you, man.
We didn't get to talk about it. I know. I saw some things that you liked it a bit. I liked the movie a lot. I just love Tarantino's revisionist take on a Hollywood thing that he's been doing the last couple movies.
Yeah.
And that's all I really wanted to get into. I mean, it's been out for a week, so. And honestly, if you know what the story is and you know Tarantino's doing it and you've seen Inglourious Bastards, you had to imagine at some point that he was going to change the ending a little bit.
You know what I always imagined, and I'm not spoiling anything by saying this, but when I went in there, I imagined that the final scene, the dead last scene, would be a pregnant Sharon Tate jump kicking Charles Manson.
It
And
wasn't
like,
out of
and
the
like his
realm,
head going, psh,
Yeah.
and it would freeze, and then the credits would roll.
Actually, you know what?
That's what I thought it would
that's-
end.
When you say that out loud, that sounds like
It
a
sounds
perfect
awesome, doesn't it?
Tarantino ending. Yeah,
it sounds
yeah.
like an awesome Tarantino ending. That's how I
Yeah.
thought it would end. It doesn't end that way, folks. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not giving anything away.
I honestly
but,
thought
I thought that was how it would go, and I was like, oh,
I
okay,
thought it would.
well,
I knew that.
didn't do that.
Obviously, DiCaprio and Pitt would be involved. I just thought it would end with them at the Spawn Ranch, just clearing house.
What about? We got a question. What about Blinded by the Light? Yes, there is an embargo on that. We can't really talk about it yet. Blinded by the Light is the film about the Bruce Springsteen songs. The guy is I think he's Pakistani. Can't remember. So it was at Sundance. I didn't see it. Everybody loved it. I did see it a couple weeks ago. Can't really talk about it yet. So there's an embargo. So we'll talk about it as soon as we can. Might be next week or maybe 2 weeks. I think it comes out on the 16th here.
right?
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about it that week.
Yeah,
maybe.
we embargoes
We'll talk
suck,
about
but
it.
we have to abide by them, unfortunately, or else we
Yeah, I'm gonna get in trouble. John will get in trouble.
we get locked in jail. Yeah, I'll get in trouble. I'm not
John
a big shot
John,
like Travis, so
John
I'll get in trouble.
get in trouble. Nobody gets more embargo threats than me, my
Yeah.
friend. Okay, so I will get in trouble too, because I'm always pushing the boundaries of the embargo.
Yeah.
and they hate it when I do that.
Well, the thing that
So.
sucks about Hobbs and Shaw, to get back to that for a second, is it's the last like big movie of the summer, pretty much. I mean, it's the last like summer blockbuster type movie. 2019 summer blockbuster season is over.
Yeah, pretty much.
We've got Ready or Not coming out as like one of the biggest movies in the next couple of weeks, which I'm looking forward to. I love Samara Weaving. Ever since I saw her in The Babysitter. Did you see that, the Netflix movie? Oh, it's good.
Is it really?
It is. It's good.
I actually heard it is. So.
It's a lot of fun, especially if that's so.
It's Hugo Weaving's daughter, right?
Is it? No.
No.
I don't think so.
It's not.
Somebody got jokes today. Welcome to Smash Cut Live Comedy Hour. No, but she's awesome in the Babysitter, which is like a throwback to 80s horror. Speaking of which, the Satanic Panic trailer came out. That looks like another
What?
throwback to 80s horror.
What is it called?
Satanic Panic.
What the hell is that?
I'm not really sure. I just caught the trailer when I was on my way up here, but it looks like a throwback to.
Who is in that?
No names really.
I have not heard of this. This is not getting a theatrical.
It is. I think it is. I think it might be VOD. I don't know, but it's actually been talked about a lot.
Would it like play it like Fantasia or something?
No, well, yeah, might have.
It sounds like a movie that played at Fantasia.
Let's see here.
Like the new
that's part
Devil's-
on our show where we just get
Devil's
get on the
Rejects.
phones.
Devil's Rejects. 3 from Hell. I'm actually interested in 3 from Hell, although I am not a huge fan of Rob Zombie or those movies. I have an appreciation for him following the bad guys the way he does. Like
Yeah.
like the House of a Thousand Corpses, totally not my kind of movie.
The last one he did
but
was just so bad. It
yeah.
was so bad.
What was that? The Lords of whatever?
Not Lords of Salem. No, he did one. It was about these crazy people in an amusement
What?
park.
Crazy people?
Yeah, I know, right? And they were dirty too, and they were pretty much white trash. I don't know.
So like every movie of his.
Yeah, every single no.
Gotcha.
I forget what the name of it was honestly, but it took place in like an amusement park, and these people were locked in. It was just so bad.
I remember this movie, and I don't know the name of it. But I respected Devil's Rejects because he kind of changed the style for Devil's Rejects. Now it looks like Three from Hell. He's going to change again.
Yeah.
He's going to change. He's going to do a totally different style for that one too. So I respect what he's done with these movies, even though they don't necessarily speak to me. And I love those three characters. I like those three characters.
They are. I mean, and so, I've always had an issue. I don't have an issue because I know I would do it.
You have an issue with Sid Haig?
Yeah,
you're scared of him because he's freaky.
Yeah, for sure. No, but his wife is in all his movies. Obviously, I always think that's kind of
Sherry Moon.
Yeah, I think that's kind of. 31. Yeah, you're right. Thanks. 31 was the name of the movie I was trying to think of. But Sherry Moon Zombie's in every single movie of his, and she's just so over the top, and it's just so.
She's not a good actress.
She's not. She really isn't. And he's got a great visual style. He's got a visual style unlike anybody else. He is the only person I know that can make you see a smell. Like you watch his movies, and it's musty in your nose. Like you can smell that it's
that's
like
a rare talent.
Some gross stuff going on, but. There's nothing wrong with hiring your friends, but put them in the right places and get real talent in the right places.
Is it worse to hire your friends or your spouse, or is it worse to put yourself in your movies when you suck?
Yourself, probably, because when you do it yourself, you're not helping anybody. You're not giving anybody why.
Okay, I would agree with that. No, because I'm just gauging the levels of offensiveness.
Yeah,
of filmmaker offense. Because like Shyamalan puts himself in every one of his movies. Shyamalan.
He usually sticks to a very small cameo, though. I don't have a problem with that. You know, that's not a big doing his look like. But the thing is, like, and
I'm just saying filmmakers do that.
We were just talking about Kevin Smith, and he was doing that for a while too. And it just, I love Jay and Silent Bob reboot, and I loved Clerks 2.
You've seen the reboot already?
Oh, I'm sorry. What am I talking about? Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
I thought you'd seen it.
No. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and Clerks 2. But the worst part of those movies for me was his wife. She's not a good actor. She's annoying to listen to, and there's nothing that I like about her on screen.
Broadcast back to Kevin Smith now.
Yeah, well, what happens. But I just never. I don't think things ever work out well like that, and that's probably a lie because you put the Hemsworth brothers in a movie together. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, we don't need to be offending Kevin Smith anymore. Did you remember when he got angry that he mentioned to me because I criticized yoga hosers?
Yeah. No, I sent you the link.
He sent me the talking about me on his podcast.
Yeah, he and Ralph Garman, Kevin Smith has a long history of hating critics.
It is funny.
And in the last couple of years, I guess the weed helped. He now just laughs about it. So he and Ralph Garman, who he does a Hollywood Babylon podcast with,
that made me laugh. I was like, what are you talking about? He mentioned me.
They did a special. A special episode of Hollywood Babylon where all they did, because he cast Ralph Garman in the movie as well, all they did was read the quote lines from critics across the country that didn't like the movie. And so they're going through, they get about halfway through, and they're like, and Travis Hopson of the Punch Drunk Critics said, and then, went off with whatever the quote was. And I was like, oh, that's funny. That's too good.
That is funny. I mean, it's a really, really awful movie.
Yeah, what was that for? No, Yoga Hosers?
It was Yoga. It
wasn't good.
It was definitely Yoga Hosers.
It wasn't good.
I wasted the Sundance screening on that, and I was like, I could have been anywhere else.
That would suck. I didn't mind watching it anywhere on streaming as a fun little distraction, but yeah, I would have been pissed if I was you in Sundance. So,
hey, look, man, I'm glad that Kevin Smith is over that kind of thing now.
Yeah,
he seems to be having fun making movies again. Mm-hmm. I mean, I personally, he probably will disagree, but it seemed to me like he was not having as much fun when he was making those movies like Tusk and Yoga Hosers, and I think he's one of those filmmakers when he's not enjoying himself, it's reflected in the work.
Red State was the only one that was any good.
Red Scare's okay. Red Scare's okay. It's not great. I've never watched it again. I've never watched Red State. I've never watched it again. I never had any desire to watch it again.
I think I watched it the second time when it was on Netflix.
Where I would watch it again. I don't even know if it's available anywhere to watch. But it seems like when he's really into his work. He seems like he's really into it when he's doing View Askew type stuff, and he seems like he's happiest doing that stuff. And it's reflected. Those movies are, even the ones that aren't, that don't really hold up against the test of time, like Chasing Amy. They're still fun movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, as long as he understands that those of us who were criticizing him back then were criticizing him because we're his biggest fans, and I am one of Kevin Smith's biggest fans. Like I love Kevin Smith. I love Kevin Smith's movies. I love Kevin Smith's movies, man.
Yeah.
But I wanted him to get better and do better.
Yeah.
And a movie like Yoga Hosers was not Kevin Smith at his best.
No, but Jay and Silent Bob reboot does look like, if
like
nothing else, it's going to be it would be a nice final movie for him. Not that I want him to retire, but it looks like a huge retrospective of his universe. You got apparently everybody from all the movies, from Shannon Doherty to Ben Affleck to come back through.
Should be fun.
And
I'm a little upset I'm a little disturbed by the release pattern for it. The release
it's a
situation.
little weird.
It's going to be out for like 2 nights here or something like that. I don't think it's getting a traditional theatrical release.
Well, he's taking it on tour, and what the word has been is that when he takes it on tour to a city, like he goes to Pittsburgh, the following night it opens in that city. I don't know how that works, but so if he takes it to Pittsburgh on September 20th, September 21st, it opens in Pittsburgh, and then city by city after that. I don't know the exact specifics of it because I've never seen a release like this, but he's definitely been on board with the strange indie release schedules in his last couple movies. So
Jay and Silent Bob reboot is something that Legion M contributed money to. Yes, it is. I'm always confused by Legion M.
Yeah, I don't really know the whole.
I mean, I get what they are. I mean, they're basically a crowdfunding sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I always get asked, like, why don't I join? I'm like, why? So I can pay money and not get any creative input? No, thank you.
Yeah, right.
So, no, I don't do that.
But,
although a friend of mine is part of their board. So, I mean, but still. No, it's okay.
Yeah, if you're not getting to make the movie or say anything.
Jay and Silent Bob's coming out without my contribution.
Yeah.
So
there's plenty of people with plenty of money they can throw away.
I'm still getting it.
Yeah.
They do some cool stuff at Sundance and at Comic-Con, though. They had their own lounge set up at Comic-Con, which was pretty cool. I passed by it. In Sundance, they had their own lounge there, too. They had, stuff like that is pretty awesome for members and stuff like that. Actually, not that you have to be a member to go in there. But, yeah, they get some pretty cool perks for that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I mean,
maybe one day.
That's one of the cool things about the crowdsourcing stuff is the not just seeing the movie, but the kickbacks you get afterwards. Not kickbacks, but like the little stuff they give you that I've seen, at least in most of these. So we got some hate towards Legion M's payment strategy and the
that was my.
That sounds like a personal statement there.
That was my point, producer Minion, is that you don't get anything back on your investment. There's no return on your investment. So it's like, what am I putting the money in for? It's cool. It's cool. Yeah, I know. It's cool to feel like you're a part of it, though, and that's the big selling point of Legion M, and it's a great marketing tool. You feel like you're a part of the process. That's really cool. People want that, especially in our geek communities. You want to feel like you're part of something. And it's a really smart strategy on their part to do that. I've almost signed up 1 million times and not done it. So, so I'm probably not going to anytime soon. But I also agree. Jay and Silent Bob reboot is something we should try and screen here at Hashtag. We should probably talk about that, actually. We do screenings of movies here at Hashtag every now and then. And that's something we should look into in the future.
And if there's anything that you guys would like to see in a screening, let us know.
We should do like a whole Clerks marathon.
Yeah.
Or a View Askew marathon.
Yeah, you can turn the gift shop here, or the snack station into a little quick stop.
Only the ones that feature Jay and Silent Bob, though.
Well, it's everything except for the last 3. Yeah.
Is that all of them?
Hey, you got Clerks, they're in. Mallrats, they're in. Chasing Amy, they're in. Dogma, they're definitely in. Jay and Silent Bob, Strike Back.
I guess I'm thinking of ones where they're like crucial to the storyline, not just like
Clerks,
they're not.
I'd say Mallrats they would be because.
Oh yeah, they have to be. Yeah. You have to show Mallrats.
Mallrats, Dogma.
What else?
Jay and Silent Bob, obviously. Clerks 2, they would be. Clerks 2, I'm still to this day whenever I watch it.
I guess they are pretty much not the focus of those movies, but There's certain
instrumental
movies
to
where I
it.
feel like they're more crucial than others.
Yeah, like in
Like
Mallrats, they have
I don't think you need to show Chasing Amy to get Jay and Silent Bob.
No, because I mean, yeah, is it crucial? Yeah, they show up
It's their comic that they're working on.
yeah, and they show up in the final scene to talk to Holden McNeil and
Right.
get him,
But if I were to show like a Jay and Silent Bob retrospective, I would probably leave out Chasing Amy. If I had to pick a movie to leave
Yeah,
out.
you'd want to show. I mean, that one they
I'd
just
leave
kind
it
of
on
showed. You'd want to show something that shows their arc throughout everything.
Right.
So
So you'd have to
really,
have
you could even start
Clerks.
with Dogma because Mallrats they played a big part in, but it's not really. I mean, there's a little bit of character building there, but there's nothing major.
They get
you know?
whole sequences to themselves in Mallrats. I would actually think Mallrats
Yeah,
is pretty crucial.
Yeah,
I would go with Clerks and Mallrats for sure. Dogma, obviously. Jay and Silent Bob, obviously.
Clerks 2 you'd have to do because they're
So basically
previous
everything
to that.
but like one movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if you're going to just do every movie but one, you might as well just do them all.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
You might as well just do them all.
So the
You
moral
can
of the story
see how
is,
bad Chasing Amy looks right now.
I watched it not too many years ago. I didn't think it was too bad.
It's
It doesn't look good,
It's
but
pretty-
none of
it's
his
pretty-
movies do.
yeah, but its handling of LGBTQ is not so
Oh
great.
yeah.
It's
That's,
super dated in that regard.
yeah, but I mean,
makes-
are people hating on it now because that, or
Oh,
do
yeah.
they give it a pass
Oh, yeah.
for
No.
for treading that water all the way
No,
back
no,
when?
it doesn't get a pass. It doesn't get a pass. It doesn't get a pass from anybody. I'm more lenient on it than I think probably other people are.
Because I would think that because of when it came out and it shed light on that community.
You
but-
don't understand. You don't get credit for not being woke before everyone else was woke. That's kind of how it is. Like I get
Okay.
it. Like when I in the '90s, was I woke? No. Did I say all sorts of offensive shit all the time? Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I look back on that, I know that I did. Now I can forgive myself for that because that was the society I lived in. That's kind of the way the world was. But other people who are woke now and probably weren't then wouldn't give me that credit.
No, I get it. What I'm saying is doesn't he get a pass for being one of the few directors to have a major movie that featured, a LGBT star, or not
Probably-
star, but a character? In the
Probably
lead role.
not, because the entire point of that movie was to turn her into a hetero.
And well, yeah, I guess. I mean, but
And it worked for a good portion of the movie.
but it ended up not working, and yeah, well, I can't argue over this
Yeah,
stuff.
it's
just,
not.
that
I mean,
doesn't make a difference to me.
I totally get where you're coming from. I totally
Yeah.
do. But yeah, it doesn't look.
Honestly,
look.
I can't stand. There's a few things. There's a few things that I think don't fall under this, but I really
Noobs
dislike,
and Gamers. Noobs is an awful movie, by the way.
Yeah,
And Jason
really,
Mewes' directorial debut just recently
Method
debuted
in
as
the
well.
Madness,
Yeah, it was or Madness in the Method.
Madness in the Method. Yeah.
Madness in the Method, which was at Comic-Con, and I wanted to go see it. I actually met him at Comic-Con. He was at the same Hasbro event that I was at in the morning. He was just kind of knowing. I've run into Jason Mewes twice, random.
3 times because you're forgetting at the convention we went to where I had him cut a promo for us
Dude,
way back
yeah,
in
you
the day.
totally, I did forget that. I ran into him at Sundance, took a picture with him. He was just kind of walking around.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of ran into him. I was like, I always do the same thing. Like, Jason Mewes, what's up, dude? And it's just kind of talk. And then he was at this Hasbro event. He was just walking around eating,
Yeah.
eating breakfast because they serve you breakfast there while they show you toys, which is awesome. But
Sounds like a good morning to me.
I still got my giant bag of Hasbro toys I need to do something with. But Mewes was just kind of standing around eating, and nobody was talking to him. And I was like, Jason Mewes? And he was like, what's up, man? And I didn't want to talk to him long because I saw he was eating.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, yeah, man, I got this movie here, and we're doing Jay and Silent Bob. And I was like, it's cool, man. I know they're both playing here, so it's like, it's really awesome. So I hope you have a good Comic-Con, man.
Yeah.
I was like, thank you. And that was just it. I was like, I'm not going to bother him. He's sitting there trying to eat breakfast.
Yeah, it's always and it's
Random
never not
Jason
a-
Mewes sightings, man, all the time.
I don't care who you are. There's never not an awkward thing if you meet when you see somebody that's a celebrity and like you have a chance because like you don't walk up to random strangers on the street just because you know these people they don't know you. It's always awkward. But I don't know about this constant going back to criticize people for the way things were back when.
Yeah.
It was wrong. But it's just easier when things are documented on certain people, because the same people that say bad things about it were probably saying the same things, but we didn't have social media to record everything back then.
Yeah.
But on that uplifting note, I think it's time we
Oh
lower
man,
the
it's
curtains.
past 3.
Yeah, it's 3:15.
All right.
I know our producer here and our host in the lovely hashtag studios in Chantilly, where you can come for gaming not conventions, but gaming tournaments and all kinds of fun stuff, including those screenings that we talked about that we're trying to get going. So, like I said, if you guys have any ideas for screenings you'd like to see, that you'd come out to see, shoot us a message. Let us know.
For those who don't know us, because we didn't actually say who we were at the beginning of the show, I'm Travis Hobson. That is John Nolan. We are creators of the Punch Drunk Critics website. You can find us every day at punchdrunkcritics.com. We talk about movie news all the time. That's about it. Well, we can find us in other places too, but that's the main place. And then we come here and we do this show just about every week to kind of wrap up the week's movies.
Mm-hmm.
Have a little fun, because you and I we don't get to chat as much as we'd like to, so we get to do it here, and I think that's always great. Did you just pull your headphones out?
Yeah.
You just did great job. Well, I guess
I don't
that's
even think they were plugged in the whole time, to be honest
good
with
a time as any to wrap up the show.
These are for looks only. I hope my microphone's plugged in. I guess that probably doesn't matter either. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, we'll be back next week. What do we got next week? Dora, obviously.
This is a crazy busy week, and I can't think of any of the movies that are coming out. So.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
They're not all huge movies, though. That's the thing. It's a lot of movies coming out next week, and not a lot of huge ones. So Dora is one of the biggest ones that's coming out this week.
Right.
So,
but as you guys have seen in the last hour, we basically just talk about whatever the hell we want to.
Whatever.
We try to fit in that stuff too. So just join us next week. It'll be a good time. Make sure to get on the chat, and if you're checking us out on YouTube, make sure to like or subscribe wherever that is. Right there? No? Over there. Wherever the like button is. Find it, subscribe, and we'll see you guys later.
all right, later.
Bye.